Hello, everybody, and welcome back. My name is Jared Bendis, and tonight we are going to do some more streaming of this Photoshop collage. Now, I've been working with the open source images from the Cleveland Museum of Art's Open Access Collection, which has been a wonderful fountain. If you're just joining us, this is the fourth part 4 of my big collage workshop. So let's come over here and start back into Photoshop and open up my epic collage.psd. So let's take a look to see what we got and where we left off. It is a very large file. I think having loaded all the images, it's almost, 1 gigabyte. Oh my God, look at that. A very surreal image. I'm going to come over here and hit magnifying glass and fit screen. This is the habit I like to be in. When I get to my very, very fine tuning, the habit I like to be in is to click on 100%. Grab the little navigator window and move around to see what I'm playing with. Now, again, what's nice about this is almost all of the images are the correct resolution. Some of them are crisper than others. Look at the Van Gogh. Look at those poplar trees. Those are gorgeous. And what we're looking at here is all the bits and pieces that I have available to me. Let me click back on Fit Screen, and I have this collage. So I will be checking once in a while. If anybody has any questions, you can jump on in the chat window and ask me something, but regardless, I'm going to start moving along. Now, there are really two different ways that I can go. As of last time, I had put all the images in sort of a rough way, and you can see that they're all here, and I've been layering them and rotating them and laying them out. But now I've got to really decide what I want sort of my overall to be. I really one of two choices that I can go. What I could do is I could start fine-tune editing, which I'm tempted to do, but what I'm really, really concerned with is the fact that I have 4 background images. Right now we're looking at the beach, the moon sky, the Van Gogh sky, the lilies, which is Monet, and the blue water, which is also Monet. And I'm looking at these 4 different skies, and I'm really only seeing them one at a time. That's kind of bothering me. And I want to kind of get into this a little bit more, and I really want to sort of solve that. I think once I resolve what sort of my background is, and these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, these 5 images themselves could make a very interesting landscape collage, as it were. So what I'm going to do is I'm sort of going to move my other pieces out of the way and start by building a nice background. To move them out of the way, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab all of the layers I'm not working with, and I highlighted them by holding the Shift key down and grabbing them all like I would any other things. And I'm going to do Layer, New, Group from Layers. And this is going to be all of my foreground elements. And what a group is, it's a folder of layers, and what's nice is it gets it out of the way, but I also can hide it all at once. So that makes my life a little bit easier. I can hide everything, and then later on I can bring them all back at once. Nice little way of getting things, again, out of the way. So what am I going to do here? What are my important elements? And this is such an exercise in looking. That's the fun part about doing these types of things, is I've really got to decide what are the parts that are important to me and how am I going to manipulate those. In some ways, I'm really, really in love with this Van Gogh sky. I really, really am. But I don't want to use all of it. I definitely don't want to use the part that has the poplars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom out a little bit, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to resize just this part of the sky so that the poplars are gone. So I'm going to come over here and really resize so the poplars are gone. There we go. And I've got these giant Van Gogh paint stripes. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, that's nice. I'm not going to use the rest of that. I'm just going to use this. So somehow this is going to end up as part of my background. Matter of fact, I'm going to come way, way, way up with it. I really want to make sure that I got that little bit of touch of heavy paint stroke in there. I'm really enjoying that. So I know I want to keep that. I don't know if I'm going to keep more of it or less of that. I don't even know how crisp it's going to come out later on, but I really, really like that as up there. I'm going to come over here and turn the lilies back on as well. Let me turn off some of these other ones. We've got this lilies layer. Maybe I need to come over here and bring it up a little bit more. Maybe I'm only going to use a little bit of this. Maybe I'm going to start layering these things. Now, the lilies is a tricky one because I have so many of the lilies here, right? I have so much lilies that I can play with. I've got to decide what I want to do here. All right, so I've got my lilies. But again, I don't want to do all the lilies, so I'm going to bring that over here. And then I've got to decide which part of the blue water I'm going to use. And if I do that, I may have to start deleting some of my lilies, or I'm going to start bringing some of my blue water in. And maybe I'll bring this down a bit so I can see that there as well. But I think I actually like this bit of water here. Maybe I'll do something like this where I'm going to keep sort of just the bottom part of this image. Now we're getting confusing. Now I've got to really start making decisions. Even with these three parts, and let me come back over here. Let's stop for a moment and assume that I want to keep sort of this part of the image. So now I have to do what we did before and start destroying. I'm going to start cutting out the part of the image. Again, I'm doing a rough cut because we're not doing any clean cuts just yet. And I'm going to come over here and see what that does. All right, I can live with that. Now let's come back over here and look at my moon sky. Is there any of my moon sky that I can still use? Where is my moon sky? Oh, it's turned off. There it is. Oh, I like those rocks. This is the problem. I want to use all of it, right? I want to use all of it, and I can't use any of it. So let me come over here and see where I can get away with using some of this. You know, I don't know if those clouds are going to work right yet, but I do love those dark clouds. I know I probably can't get away with using this foreground. As much as I like it, I've looked at too many other foregrounds. So maybe I'm going to come over here and I'm going to make a decision, and I'm going to decide that I'm only going to keep these clouds. And again, I'm going to cut really loosely so I have the sky, and I'm going to delete that. So now I have sort of the clouds up top, and then I'm going to bring Van Gogh down a little bit. Right, there's my Van Gogh, and there's my Van Gogh blue, and there's my purple. Maybe it's the other way around. Maybe the purple is the other way around. I don't know yet, but I know that I'm going to keep that way up there. Almost looks like mountains here, doesn't it? That's the fun part about doing this. I'm going to put the beach back in, and all right. So, am I going to keep the sky, or am I going to keep the horizon? I'm going to put the beach on top and realize that I'm probably going to get rid of this sky. To make my life a little bit easier, what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to make sure I keep that blue horizon line in there. I'm even going to keep those ships in there for now. I may cut them out later. I think right now I'm going to be good. But I'm going to do something a little different than I did before. And instead of deleting this, I'm going to cut it, which puts it into memory. Now I can see what I've made. And then I'm going to paste it. Now, instead of just pasting it, I'm going to do paste special, which pastes it in place, which basically makes me have two layers. This is the bottom layer. This is the top layer. This is the beach sunset. I'm just going to hold it off for later. I'm going to turn it off. Maybe I might use it a little bit later. But we know that I want the beach to be in the foreground. So I've got the beach up front. I've got the moon sky up there. I sort of have everything except for my blue water. So what am I going to do? I'm going to bring this down a bit, and this is a little bit better here. So now I'm sort of getting somewhere. Yeah, now I'm getting somewhere. So I've got this first horizon with that big blue line. Then I have a little bit more water in there. Don't worry about the matching just yet. We're going to deal with that later. Then I have the this and then this. And now that I'm looking at this, I realize that I think the Van Gogh sky has to come down behind here, and then the water lilies is going to be towards the top. Oh my God, it's everywhere. Get rid of my beach sunset. So let's do this by the numbers. The beach is in front. Yes. Behind the beach is the blue water. Yes. So it kind of extends back. Behind the blue water is the Van Gogh sky. Yes. Oops. Now we have to make some decisions because the Van Gogh sky covers so much, I can't see anything. So let me bring down my Van Gogh sky a bit. Oh yeah, there you go. Bring down the Van Gogh sky, and now we bring in the water lilies, and there's your water lilies, and then on top of that, I would have the moon sky, except I can't see it because the water lilies covers it up. So I'm going to bring this down a little bit, and there's my moon sky. Now, interestingly enough, if you look at it, what's in front, I really have this beach as the foreground, right? The beach is sitting in front. But if I look at it from another perspective, the moon could also be sitting in front. So if I bring the moon up forward, now that makes a little bit more sense in terms of what I'm looking at. So I've got these different layers here. So I've got the beach, then the Monet, then the Van Gogh, then the Monet, and then this sky here. And this gives me a real sense of what I want my composition to look like. And I really have to decide what's going to go where. Look at that. There's a little bit of scrap over there. We'll get rid of that scrap later. I'm going to show you a trick on how to look for scraps. It's one of my favorite tricks that I'll show you in a little bit, and how to find scraps of stuff when we're looking for it. So now I have a real sense of depth and dimension. Now I know we have this really weird, straight line here. We're gonna fix that later on. We're gonna do something really funky to fix these lines. But right now, again, I just want to get the sense of what am I looking at? What does this look like? So this is a very dramatic scene. Think about where we started from, where we only had one backdrop at a time, and now we have this really, really weird scene. I could stop right now and polish. And that, again, it's your temptation at any given moment is to polish, and the exercise is not. The exercise is to chop, is to lay down, is to really pretend that you're a little kid playing with magazines and scissors and glue, and not even the glue. Don't even do the glue yet. Just the magazine, the scissors, and fluffing it all around and laying it all around, and then finally making decisions about what you're going to do. Thinking about this as my backdrop, what's going to happen and by the way, let's go back before I do that. Do I need my beat sunset for anything? Probably not. I'll leave it turned off for now. There's no reason to delete it. But I'll just leave it there for now. All right, so I come over here, and I'm going to come over here and go, what happens when I turn my foreground back on? Now, I've moved a lot of stuff around, so this is going to be weird. And what I find is, it's weird. All right, so now we have to almost rebuild the entire collage again. Magnifying glass. Fit screen so I can see it as big as I can. And now I've got to decide what goes where. Now, let's take a look about how I'm going to sort of lay this out. Now, come over here. I've got my horse. I'm going to put my horse in the foreground. There we go. I guess I've got to decide where my horse is going to go now, because I've got that little party there, that little thing there that I really can't cover up the way I was before. I can later on. I'll show you a trick to cover that up. And I think my assumption is that will be gone. So I'm going to sort of, in my mind, go, that's going to be gone. All right, so I've got that. I have my gravy boat out to sea, which I like. I have my ship out to sea, which I like. I have this thing here, which I really liked over here, but now that I have Monet's mountain or Monet's rock over here, I have to decide where this is going to go. So I think I'm going to come over here and transform and flip horizontal and maybe stick it over here towards this part. And that makes a lot more sense. And it's very nice. When you're doing composition, there's something called a tangency that you have to be careful about. If I were to come over here and put that to the edge, if I make anything touch, where just edges touch, that's very difficult. You want things to overlap. You want things to occlude each other. That gives you a really strong sense of depth. When things kiss each other, when they just touch each other, that becomes harder to work with. I also think I can make this a little bit straighter. So I'm going to come over here and hit Control-T. And remember, we can rotate freely. We don't have to worry about holding the Shift key down. We only have to worry about Shift key down when we're changing our scale. And by the way, we're not done changing scale. At some point, I will end up changing the scale of something once again. Now that I've done that, I can decide where I'm going to plant my poplar trees. And I think my poplar trees may be a little bit big now. So I'm going to come over here and put them there. And if I'm really going to have fun, I might even duplicate them. You know what? I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to come over to my poplars. I think I'm going to duplicate that layer and call that poplars 2. And then I'm going to come over here and do edit, transform, flip horizontal. Again, this is nothing new. This is exactly what we did the last time. There's no newness to this, except by coming over here and flipping it and changing the size. I've given myself a little bit more flexibility. Now, there is something to be said for the fact that if I'd cleaned these trees up once, when I flip them, they'd already been clean. So this may end up being a placeholder. Poplars 2 may end up being Poplars 1 once I clean it, and then I flip it and make it smaller. Notice I flipped it and made it smaller. I didn't just flip it because I didn't want it to be just like, bookended. I wanted to do something that's, again, a little bit more, oh my God, there are 4 trees, not 2. And again, flipping it helped that way. Now I'm going to come over here and put my vase in front of them, which I like. My gravy boat kind of comes over here, and now I've only got a few more pieces that I have to work with. I've got to put my ducks in a row. That joke will never get old. That is correct, folks. I like making the ducks in a row joke. And I'm going in the chat room to see if anybody's booing me right now. But no, you're not. And that sort of saddens me. So I've got to decide where to put my ducks, or they can ducks in the sky. But I think I'm going to put my ducks down here. And it's going to be challenging because when I get rid of the blue, you're going to see how much that matches here. So we're going to end up playing some really interesting games with color and shape when that happens. And now we have our two remaining elements that are really in the foreground. We have our dragon, which is going to be fun because he's going to be sort of attacking the ship with the gravy boat on the other side. There's the dragon. There's the ship. Don't know what to do with the fountain, and I could get rid of the fountain, by the way. I mean, I have enough elements here to make something interesting. I just, I said I was going to use the fountain. Maybe what I really need to do is look at an element of the fountain as something. Maybe that's what I'll do. Now, the cool thing about Photoshop is that because I saved as a Photoshop document, and this was a really, really large thing, what happens if I make this big again? Let me actually zoom in. Let me zoom in and double click. And what should happen is you're going to notice is we didn't lose any quality. And that's because we were working in Photoshop, and Photoshop keeps all of the quality along the way. So maybe what I need to do is view this as a partial something. Maybe I need to view this as a partial something. And as I'm seeing this as architectural now, I'm going to put this like almost as if it was a cathedral on the hill. Well, if it's a cathedral on the hill, then it's no longer part of our foreground elements. It's more part of our background elements. And the best place to take this is to take this over here and to bring it further back behind the blue water. And voila. So now it's going to kind of pop out like that. And that's going to be really nice when I clean that up. So we've kind of got this little thing on the hill there, which is going to be cool. So we've got that's going on. I'm very happy with that decision. All right. So what do we have left? We have our unicorn. Right? Our unicorn is charging down the hillside. Maybe that's exactly what the unicorn's doing. Maybe we're going to have the unicorn charging down the hillside. A little bit smaller. There's a unicorn charging down the hillside. Beautiful. That'll be nice when we cut him out. He doesn't have a lot of quality, as we remember, so it'll be nice to have that. Now we step back for a moment, right? Take a look back. Where is the action coming, right? We have these elements leading this way. We have these elements leading this way, right? This becomes a really important thing. What you don't want to do is have things like over here leading off the, off the screen. We want to be looking at where the eye lines are, what's being pushed back and forth. And what I'm trying to do is create some sort of a relationship where things are moving back and forth. This looks here. This looks here. This looks here. All right, so now what do we got? We're going to have this swirl in the sky, which I think is going to be nice there. I can't believe I covered up the moon after all that. I'm saving the dragon. Like, there's no way we're getting to the dragon tonight. I'm just saving the dragon because those clouds. Or maybe I should just do it. Maybe I should just get to it already. And let's zoom in and do this. All right, let's just do it. So here is my dragon, right? And while I love my dragon, what I really, really loved about the dragon were these clouds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I told you, what I did before. I'm going to grab the first cloud and I'm going to cut it, Control X. Now, don't worry about that hole. We'll get back to that hole later. If I hit paste, it's going to make a new layer, and I'm going to call this Cloud 1. And I can take Cloud 1 and I could move it over here. We'll just leave that there for a moment. Go back to my red dragon. And again, using the polygonal lasso tool. All of this is in the other tutorial. Just keep repeating myself. That's the fun part, is you just keep repeating yourself. Cut and paste. And rotate this like this. And now we have Cloud 2. And it's neat because since this is actually a piece of ceramic, the shadow and the highlights are going to make these different, even though they were actually different in the first place. The similarity is there, but the differences are there as well. Now, here's the fun one. If I hit Control X right now, it's going to give me an error message. Why? I'm on the wrong layer. See, I'm on Cloud 2. Look over here. I should be on Red Dragon. But don't worry. Now that I'm on Red Dragon, I can cut it and I can paste it. And I could call this Cloud 3. And there's Cloud 3. Beautiful. And let me come over here and rotate that one again, making my little list of clouds. There's Cloud 3. All right. Now, do I need Cloud 4? Yes. Yes, I do need Cloud 4. All right. And I don't have to do that. I could use the same cloud over and over, but that's the fun part, is the subtleties that you put in here is really what makes something like this very, very organic. It's annoying because people won't know that you've done it. That's the funny part about this, is if you do all of this work, they're going to go, that's nice, and walk by and never really realize just how much work you've done. I don't want that cloud. I don't even know if it's a cloud. I'm not going to use that cloud. But I am going to come over here to my red dragon, and I'm going to keep my flower. Cut, oops, and paste. No, it's still close enough. We're going to call that flower 1. And then come back to my red dragon, grab my polygonal lasso tool, grab, cut and paste, call that flower 2. Notice I didn't need to paste in place. I only paste in place when I want to make sure it's exactly in the same spot. Right here, I don't care. Now we have this crazy red dragon bits and pieces. It's got a little break in pieces too in it. And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to do pretty much what I did before. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to highlight only the good parts. And highlight only the good parts. Skip that part. We don't need that anymore. Highlight only the good parts. Select inverse. So now I've highlighted only the bad parts. I hit delete. And now I only have my red dragon. Now let's back up and see what pieces we have. And now I can come over here. Oops, wrong tool. Come over here, and I can make my little dragon, my little clouds bigger. 1, 2, 3. What's nice about this is that they're all facing the same direction. 4. And then, of course, we're going to give ourselves our little flowers, which we don't know where they're going yet, but we know they're not going up in the sky. Oops. Don't worry about that. Happens all the time. Remember, we can always just hit undo. Undo. All right. So, again, that the little flower makes me happy. A little flower over here, like a little tufted window. Our dragon's going to come somewhere over here. But now I've got to ask yourself, is this going in the right direction? And the answer is no. So edit, transform, flip horizontal, bam. Edit, transform, flip horizontal, edit, transform, flip horizontal. The funny part is at some point someone's go, couldn't you do all of these at once? And the answer is probably yes. But as a teacher, I tend to actually do my work slower so I can actually talk my way through these things. I'll show you some of the shortcuts as we get further and further in. But I kind of like not always doing the shortcuts. It kind of makes me happy to somehow just kind of think about each step along the way. Making some of the big ones and some of the small ones. Changing the rotations. I don't want that there and there. There and there. Zooming out again, zooming in again, magnifying glass, fit screen. And that again is a little bit different. So now I've got these little sort of weird cloudy things. All right, that's pretty good. Now we have to ask ourselves, are we happy with all the pieces that we have? And again, as you notice, as we're putting this together, because the background has gotten so busy, now that we have layers in the background, I can actually get away with, feeling like I have a sense of depth here. I'm going to go back to this where the fountain is. There's my fountain layer, and there's my moon sky. And I think I can put my moon sky in front of... No, I don't want to do that. I can put my fountain here. Nope, not there. I'm just trying to make it so that my fountain is in front of my moon sky, and I can't do that yet. I'll have to figure that. I'll have to rearrange those things in a little bit to make that work. Because if I put my moon sky over here... Oh yeah, if a moon's gone over here, that little bit of blue pops up, and that little bit of blue is actually from the blue water layer. And all I have to do is delete it. Oop, wrong layer. Go back to the blue water layer and delete it, and that bit is gone. So I would have felt a little bit better, except it still isn't working. So how's that? There we go. So I get the sense of what's where. Just makes me a little bit happier. So I like where a lot of this is going. Maybe this is going to be more in the blue. Maybe Maybe this blue swirl here is where the dragon's coming out of. Maybe that's not in the sky at all. Maybe I need to come over here like this, incorporate this into the sea, and then incorporate the dragon here like this. Boy, this is like playing with action figures in front of people. All right, I don't know how I have a vase here, but again, I kind of like it, so I'm going to keep the vase there. I'm looking to see if anybody has any questions, and nobody does so far, which is great. So now that I have this, I can decide where my dragon's going to be. I'm going to put this over here for now. We're going to get back to you. Matter of fact, we're going to hide you. There we go. So now I've got my dragon. My dragon is a very crazy thing. We're going to blow him up a little bit. We're going to angle him. We're going to bring him over so that the dragon really has a sense of, foreboding over all of this. And now that I have the dragon doing this, I can actually sort of bring these elements in. So now these elements are really coming from the dragon. It almost looks like it's attacking now. I kind of like that too. Maybe it looks like the dragon's fighting the unicorn. All right, that's pretty good. If the dragon's fighting the unicorn, then I don't need Cloud 3. Now, I'm not going to delete it, right? There's no reason to delete it. Matter of fact, I might actually prefer Cloud 3 over Cloud 2. I may not like when I go to cut it out. I may not actually like that. So I'm not going to delete anything. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to take Cloud number 3 and I'm going to hide Cloud 3. All right, so we've got this. Now let's go back to what else do we have hidden here? And we have hidden is our angel sun. What do we do with our angel sun? Now, it's so funny because, originally I brought the angel sun in for the sun. And now the more I look at this, I wonder, maybe I'm bringing this in for the angel. Maybe I'm going to come over here. I'm going to transform. I'm going to go flip horizontal again. Right? So maybe it's like this, but then maybe I'm going to make the whole thing smaller. And maybe the angel's flying in. Right? Maybe the angel's flying in, maybe even smaller. Right? The angel's flying in, and the angel has something in their hand, right? And what they do, they have the sun, right? So maybe it's not even gonna. Maybe I'm not even gonna isolate that. Maybe you're just gonna have this angel flying in. The funny part is now that I think about this, and this is where you get to go back and make some decisions. Now that I'm thinking about this, I can go, maybe there's a better angel. Maybe there's a better angel that's flying out there. But I've decided that, from my process perspective, I was going to go with this. So it's exactly what I'm going to do. But maybe this answers my question. Now, I don't want to put the gravy boat in the hand, even though that's really funny. I don't want to put the gravy boat in the hand because I really like the idea of the gravy boat in the water. But maybe the vase is what's in the hand. Maybe that's what's going on over here. Maybe this is going to be one of those things where the vase is part of the angel and I'm getting rid of the sun altogether. And it's going to be something like that. All right, so it's going to be something like pouring out onto here. Of course, we don't know what they're pouring yet, but we can get back to that later on. They could be pouring ducks. No, but then I can bring the ducks over here, which gives me a little bit more room. And then I can actually maybe be able to use... I think I'm going to get rid of some of the ship still, but I can come over here and give myself a little bit more foreground. So let's breathe for a second and take a look at what we've got. That's the big thing as always. What are we looking at? So we have a horse on the beach with some ducks and a flower and some poplars. And on the mountain, there's another flower. And behind the mountain is some sort of a golden cathedral, in front of which is a unicorn. In the water, there is a dragon coming out of some sort of a whirlpool, fighting a tall ship, and in the background, there is some sort of a tower. In the sky, we have an angel with a vase and a dragon breathing clouds, as well as, sort of a whole bunch of beautiful things. So there you go. I want to point out that I haven't done anything different tonight than I did yesterday. I haven't done anything different than I did in a previous tutorial. What have I done? I've rearranged layers. I've cut and copied and pasted. I have flipped. Flipping is big, by the way. Unless there's text, don't be afraid to flip. And by the way, look for text because it'll be obvious. I have scaled, but I've never squashed or stretched. I've always made sure that I've maintained my aspect ratios. I'm not saying that there's no place to squash or stretch. I'm just saying is not this early. I've cut things out, I've moved things around, but I haven't done any fine tuning yet. I haven't done any manipulation of color. I haven't done any manipulation of edge. I've seriously just sort of tried to fill my composition out. I want to make sure that I'm really, really happy with what I've built so that when I am polishing, I can spend all my time doing just that, polishing and making things blend together in a seamless way as possible. So again, I would like to thank the Cleveland Museum of Art's Open Access Collection for allowing me to basically go through and raid their collection of public domain images for me to create this collage. And again, this tutorial is being created for the collage contest that we're having at Case Western Reserve University. Obviously, not everyone is available to do this, but it's a lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy building your own first collage. I'll be back with another tutorial where we're going to get a little bit more into the fine tuning. There you go. Again, my name's Jared Bendis. Be sure to follow me. I'll be making more videos along the way. Thank you.